Hey everyone, welcome back to our ClearVoice Employee Spotlight series. My name is Joanna Bowser and I'm the Director of Marketing here at ClearVoice, and today I'm here with Donny from our team. Hey Donny.
Hi, Joanna. How are you?
I'm good. Um, so I'm excited to chat with you today because um, what you do for the company is a little unique as far as what we deliver as a service and the role that you play as far as kind of underpinning the entire clear voice world. So before we get into, or as we get into that, I guess my first question is what's your title and what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. So, my title is the Director of Revenue Operations. I run all the systems that the sales team, the marketing team, and the service delivery team use to do basically their day to day. From lead generation on the marketing team, transferring that over to the sales team for the sale, and then everything that we need to do to service those contracts and those commitments. Kind of make those three systems all talk to each other.
Sure, got it. And it's funny because I one of the questions that we'd like to ask is how you serve the clear voice customers. But I think in your case, I'm curious sort of like how you view each department as a customer
Yeah.
and what you do, right? Because like you're one layer removed from our buyers and our freelancers, but you still sort of serve us as customers within the system. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, truthfully, that's kind of exactly how I view it. As the employees are sort of my customer for you and for the marketing side. I got to make sure that we get you all of the information, all the data that you need, so you can do your job and do your job better. That's all the reporting, all the tracking, all the analytics. Same thing for the sales. I want to make sure we're getting the right lead to the right person at the right time. I basically want to give our sales guys as many opportunities as they can to get through it. And then the big project right now for us, obviously, is the service delivery team and pulling their whole ecosystem into HubSpot, and just really giving them, the roadmap to their day to day.
Yeah. And it's interesting because on the service delivery side, right, we've produced hundreds of thousands of pieces of content. We use the ClearVoice platform for content production proper, right, and managing all of that. But now it's taking the process that's very mature and now documenting and putting it into the HubSpot system. So it doesn't have to be kept here or in like a Google spreadsheet, right? But it's actually kept in a system where they open up their platform and every day they know, hey, this is what we need to do.
Yeah, this one is particularly it's kind of fun because there's so much that we don't know about we know a lot about our service delivery, but we haven't had like a really good system from beginning to end, right? Everybody's sort of been kind of like you said, like one person's working out of a spreadsheet, one person's kind of working out of Asana or Trello, or everybody's kind of created their own little like way of doing things, and we haven't had everything like one central source of truth for that team. So yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see kind of what comes out of this. And then this is how you scale. This is where everybody's doing the same thing over and over and over. I mean, that's how you scale it. So, and the amount of data that we're going to have, the amount of marketing opportunities that this is going to create, this is going to give the sales guys a whole another level of conversation to have with buyers at renewal, or honestly just findings, and then to take to new business. It's really going to kind of open things up.
And I think that's something when we think about like revenue operations, because you and I talk offline a lot about like what can it cover? And it can cover so many things,
Sure.
right, inside of an organization. And that over the past, just for everybody's kind of listening, over the past 18 months, 2 years, Donnie, myself, and JD, who's our VP of growth, we've kind of looked at the pre-sale new business motion as one motion, right? And then now the post-sale sides joining that revenue motion as one motion. And so Donnie's like, I guess your work is kind of the bedrock of all of that, right? With the ultimate goal of driving revenue, but
Right.
even though it feels very like systems and project management and like process.
Yeah, exactly. Like it starts very project management heavy, right? It's where are we inefficient, where are we where are we seeing some gaps, and it's hard to track that. It's hard to track the the impact pulling a system in, other than, oh yeah, my day-to-day is a little bit easier today because I kind of have the next task, and they have like, sure, that's convenient and nice, and we can track better. But yeah, it makes it a little challenging. Sometimes it's kind of hard to like sit in this project management spot, because you don't see the impact right away. Like, it's definitely, all right, this system is in place. We just have to let it marinate. We just have to let it run for a while before we're like, okay, yeah, this is good. So
Sure. Yeah. Cool. So I know, revenue ops is sort of industry agnostic. A lot of industries need revenue operations and the type of work that you do. And I know that when you work with the marketing team, you've gotten into the world of content marketing in a new way, and also understanding content operations, not just revenue operations and general processes and strategic ops, but like how is a piece of content created, and like what are marketers need in making a piece of content, and then that then sort of begets the process that gets put into these systems, right? And I'm curious just to sort of think about the world of content marketing and your learnings over the past 3 years since you've been with ClearVoice. What gets you excited about content marketing? What sort of has you say, hey, this is interesting, and it's interesting to have RevOps inside of this in a different way?
the piece that I have enjoyed is seeing how we create content, and the amount of, I don't want to say research, but just the amount of like our attention to detail at ClearVoice is pretty impressive. Like, we go pretty deep into, okay, what are we creating? Why are we creating? Who are we creating it for? And those were things, from my background, it was like we knew who our demographic was, we knew who our customer was, but we weren't really creating this content to really drive the sales funnel, right? Especially like in the e-commerce place, in the e-commerce space, it's a little different conversation, right? We know if we put, a good Instagram ad out and we get some clicks and we see it come all the way through for the conversion and the sale, it's easy to track, it's easy to see. On the content marketing side, it's a longer play, but it's what gets me excited is seeing the production from beginning to end, seeing those people come in, seeing that nurture process, seeing how the conversation comes through, and ultimately, like I said, although it's a longer process than like the e-commerce space, seeing that full cycle that's kind of what gets me excited.
Right. Absolutely. So I'm curious, in your time at ClearVoice, there's been a lot of projects that you've taken on in your role. Is there anything that you're currently the most proud of, the project you did, or the outcome, or sort of what's evolved?
It's been a little bit of an adventure, because my initial role that I got hired at ClearVoice for was just for some help with email marketing. I think the title was just email marketing manager, and so I came in, and I started to go through the CRM, go through the list, and understanding that HubSpot isn't just an email marketing tool. Like, there's so much more underneath it. When I got here and I kind of, started to look under the hood, I was just like, oh man, you have the email marketing side, there's a wholesale side, service delivery isn't even in HubSpot yet.
Right.
And so my first, actually, what happened was we were kicking off a LinkedIn campaign, and I was asked to help us kind of like figure out, hey, some leads are showing up and we can't really quite identify where they're coming from. And so I jumped in, and we just created the marketing operations motion right from there. And so my role went from email marketing manager to, nope, now it's marketing operations. And then as marketing operations is coming through, I'm looking at, okay, these leads are going to the sales team, what's happening over there? So now I look at the sales operations, and we had to reconfigure that a little bit. And so now it's just kind of coming to fruition of, all right, we have the marketing side right into the sales side, right into the service delivery side. So I can't really pinpoint it to one specific project or one specific piece. I think it's really getting that full circle from marketing ops to sales ops to service delivery. And then, like I said, the service delivery side, we're pulling that into the system right now, and that's going to be now. Then we're going to have the circle will be complete.
Sure. Gotcha. Awesome. And are there any industries that you've worked in before that really influence your work here at ClearVoice? Because again, revenue ops, CRM, like these things are sort of industry agnostic. So what of your past life has influenced your work here?
Truthfully, everything. I've been building CRMs and kind of building like the operations side of businesses for about 15 years. From the e-commerce space, it was learning to build a system where we can leverage marketing whenever we want. So on the mortgage side, that's where I really learned to like the documentation of a system, of a process. And I call them then what meetings. You and I have had a couple of these where, something happens and I just sit there and kind of ask you, okay, then what? Then what do we need? And then what do we need? And then what do we need? And that's where we've gotten literally every detail of a system or every detail of a process documented. Because, when directors or managers or anybody comes to me and they're like, hey, we need to do this, it's like, okay, well, we can create pretty much anything, but what are we going to use that for? Like, if I can get you that data, like, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
And then what are we going to do with it? And then what are we going to do with it? So yeah, it's mortgages, the e-commerce space, everything has had an influence on kind of how I build and
Sure.
how I systemize things.
Sure. I think too, I mean, something that that you're really good at is asking the then what, but then also not overcomplicating things at the start, right? So like we're building a partnership pipeline right now, and we could go crazy. We could be like, oh, there's all these steps and la la la. And it's like, why don't we just do these 3 steps first and then get more data and then build more, as opposed to trying to like if then everything. Then what is different than if then, right? It's different than like every use case, edge case, etc.
Right.
Versus the then what, which is just walk me down the path of what's probably going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's the case of over automating, right?
Right.
I'm a firm believer in there's such thing as too much automation.
Sure.
If we create this automation, if we create this thing again, then what are we going to do? Like, do we just want this system just running in the background? In some instances, like, that makes sense, and it's you want something like that. But when especially when we're creating something new, it's no. I don't. First, we shouldn't overcomplicate it. We shouldn't automate it. Somebody should be doing it to find the gaps and find the loopholes. Like we want to prove it out, just like you would with any marketing test that you're doing.
Sure. Awesome. Cool. Well, before we wrap up, is there any last parting words of wisdom you'd want to share with anybody who's tuning in?
Oh man, write it down. Right,
write it down.
Document it.
Document it.
No, RevOps is it's a funny space. Like there's so much. There's a lot of chatter on LinkedIn where people are, RevOps isn't a thing. It's just sales op with different it's super important to have somebody in your space that understands what's going on in marketing, understands what's going on in sales, understands what's going on in service delivery, and is watching the system from beginning to end, understanding how everybody works together and creating that system that flows. I think that's what will change the game for people.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me today for your spotlight. I really appreciate
this was great.
Awesome. And for those of you tuning in, if you need any content marketing for your business or you just want content tips sent to your email weekly, come visit us at www.clearvoice.com.